Hi everybody. I'm going to try for a really annoying infinite loop here on our videos. So, starting with China for beginners. There are some important concepts to remember about ancient China, including their beliefs that rulers come to power because of the approval of the gods. This is called the mandate of heaven. And they then might lose the approval of the gods through disrespect of the gods or through bad decision making, and that would cause the gods to send floods or disasters or foreign invasions, barbarians, in which case that's a sign for the people to rise up and overthrow the ruler. And if that happens to a large enough degree and the people rise up and overthrow the ruler, in the end, they're going to put in a new ruler. And that ruler has the mandate of heaven, the approval of the gods. And we call this system where one royal family takes control and is prosperous for a while and things are good, and then things get bad and the people rise up and overthrow them and put a new one in. We call that the dynastic cycle. It's a cycle, and it has to do with royal dynasties, royal families. So let's talk about Chapter 3, Section 2, religions that influenced Asia. Hinduism is a major world religion that is so ancient and mysterious that we don't actually know who the starter of this religion is, who the founder of Hinduism is. There are lots of old documents and stories that teach people of the Hindu religion, like the Vedas and the Upanishads. The Upanishads is a book made up of discussions between wise men and students and teaches people Hindu beliefs. The Hindu word for heaven is moksha. And moksha is a place where you are completely free from all suffering and selfishness and envy and all kinds of bad things. So you're free in moksha. The thing is that the god of this world is Brahman, Brahman. And the Brahman takes many forms. The Brahman has a little bit of itself in all of us. And that little bit of the Brahman that's inside you, according to Hindus, is your Atman, Atman. So Hindus believe in this one universal spiritual God. Atman is the part of it that's in you. Brahman is the name for the whole big thing. So you have a little bit in you called the Atman. When you can truly understand your place in the universe, then you reunite your little piece of Brahman, called your Atman, with the big Brahman. So only when you manage to understand the universe can you reunite and stop being your own independent thing and achieve moksha. And the issue is that it takes a lot of lifetimes to manage to get there. You don't get there quickly or easily. So your Atman gets reborn inside a new body when you die. And this is called reincarnation. So a lot of people believe in reincarnation, this idea that your soul gets reborn into a new body when you die. The purpose of reincarnation for Hindus is to get closer to moksha. Hopefully you've lived a life as a Hindu that gets you closer to moksha, because if you haven't, then you'll actually get reincarnated into a lower social class of human being, or perhaps even reincarnated as something lower than a human being. Therefore, whatever you're born as is a direct result of who you've been up till now. If you've been good, you're going to get reborn as a good social class. And if you've been bad, you'll get reborn in a lower social class. That's Hinduism. So if you manage to do a good job in your religious duties, these are called dharma, Dharma. If you live according to the rules of your social class based on your past life and your behavior, if you live a life that's good, within your caste, within your social class, then you're earning good karma. If you're doing your dharma, your duties, then you're earning karma, K-A-R-M-A, that will get you reborn next time as higher. And if you're doing bad things in this lifetime and disobeying the rules of Hinduism, then you'll get reborn into a lower social class. So that bit of the Brahman, the universal soul that's in you, gets reborn higher or lower. And the big Brahman can actually show itself in many different forms. In your packet, there's an incomplete list of ways that the Brahman can show itself to human beings. You've got Vishnu, the preserver god, Shiva, the destroyer god, Ganesh, the god of intelligence and removing obstacles, Durga, fierce god, Rama, an incarnation of Vishnu. You've got Hanuman, you've got Surya, the god of the sun, Krishna, another form of Vishnu. You've got Kali, the goddess of time and death, Murugan, the god of war, Parvati, the divine mother, Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and prosperity, Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, music, and the arts. They're all ways that the Brahman could show itself to human beings. They're separate gods and goddesses only as costumes for the Brahman to come down and show itself to us. So Hindus believe that the social class that you're born in, your caste, C-A-S-T-E, is a direct result of how you've been in a past life. Therefore, if people are in a higher social class than you, in order to get good karma in this lifetime, you have to be good to them. You have to be loyal to them. And if people are lower in the social system than you, don't pity them. Don't be nice to them. They're there because they were bad in a past life. They are being punished. So don't make it easy on them. There's even the lowest human social class called untouchables. And these people are, you can't touch them. You can't allow them to touch you. If a child is born to an untouchable family, it's because they were awful in a past life. There's no such thing as moving up a social class during your lifetime. There's no such thing as making better for yourself during this lifetime. It all happens when you get reincarnated. So if you're born an untouchable, you're that way forever in this lifetime. And your jobs, the jobs that are reserved for untouchables are like cleaning the streets, cleaning up blood from a butcher's shop, cleaning portable toilets and regular toilets, just the worst possible jobs. Sanitation specialists. So these are the jobs that are saved for untouchables because they've been bad in a past life. Your social class or your caste determines every aspect of your life, from what food you're allowed to eat to what clothes you're allowed to wear, what kind of house you're allowed to live in, what you do for a job. It's all predetermined by your caste. There's another religion called Jainism, and Jainism believes in total peace. No violence, no temper, no nothing. Total peace. Even to insects. Jainists will walk around with a brush, a broom, and they'll sweep the streets in front of them so that they don't accidentally step on ants or other bugs. They sleep with a mask so that they don't breathe in mosquitoes or flies or bugs or spiders accidentally while they're sleeping and kill them. Because killing something on its path to the gods is bad. So, we're going to talk about another religion from this region called Buddhism. Buddhism was started by a guy named Siddhartha Gautama. Siddhartha Gautama was a prince, born in a very wealthy family, very powerful. He was kept behind the gates of the palace his whole life. But see, the thing was that his parents wanted to know what he was going to be like when he was just a baby. So they went to a fortune teller and they got his fortune told. And the fortune teller said that Siddhartha Gautama would either start a great religion and live the life of a poor, humble person, or he would be the greatest warlord that had ever been seen. And he would be a warlord if he was kept within the palace and never had to see any suffering before he was like 18 or 20 years old. But if he went outside the palace and saw suffering, then he would give up everything and be poor, but he would lead a great religion. So his parents didn't want him to be poor. They kept him at home, they kept him behind the palace gates, but one day, when he was like 15 or something, he snuck out. And when he snuck out, he went to the nearest village. And he saw poor people for the first time ever. He saw people suffering for the first time. He saw starvation. He saw someone die. He saw old people in old age suffering. None of this had he experienced before. It blew his mind. And so he ran away and thought about things. He meditated. He went to a riverbank and sat next to the river for 40 days and 40 nights. And some sources say 49, others say 40. That's less important than the main point, though. The main point being that he meditated on the meaning of life, and he discovered 4 noble truths. And the noble truths are, number 1, life is made up of suffering. Number 2, life is full of suffering because there is something that causes suffering. Number 3, there is an end to suffering. And number 4, the way to end suffering is to follow the eightfold path. Now, what is that thing that he said is the cause of all our suffering? Selfishness, desires, wanting stuff. So Siddhartha Gautama said, in order to end the suffering that this world is made up of, we just have to stop wanting stuff. We have to stop being envious of other people's stuff. We have to stop being greedy. We have to stop having selfish desires. Once we end having selfish desires, all the suffering goes away. But how can you do that? How can you stop having selfish thoughts and desires? Well, the way that Siddhartha Gautama, who was later called the Buddha, said that you could give up all these selfish desires was to have good intentions, always mean well for other people, to put in the effort to do things the right way and to be good to people, to choose a job, a livelihood that is going to be good for other people too, to try to understand other people and to try to understand the universe around us, to only act in ways that are in harmony with being good to others and being generous, to only speak in ways that are good and promote kindness and generosity, and to focus our mindfulness at all times towards being good, towards being happy and generous and not having selfish desires. So that's the eightfold path. If you try hard to get rid of selfishness and desire, and you try to live according to the eightfold path for enough lifetimes, then you no longer will have to be reincarnated. Because Buddhists believe in reincarnation too. It's not just Hindus. And so this idea of reincarnation allows Buddhists multiple chances to achieve that mindfulness through the eightfold path, to achieve the 4 noble truths and realize everything. Once you realize everything, once you achieve total enlightenment about greed and selfishness, and once you're able to completely give up greed and selfishness, then you reach total enlightenment. You reach heaven, which to Buddhists is called nirvana. So you reach nirvana. It's not just a grunge band from the 90s. Nirvana was concept is a concept for Buddhists of not suffering anymore in any way. You've given up all suffering and selfishness. The big difference between Hinduism and Buddhism, even though they both have reincarnation, is that in Buddhism, you don't get reborn specifically higher or lower based on your activities in your past life. You're reborn into just another living soul that can comprehend Buddhism. So it's not promoting someone or demoting someone. You don't have to treat people badly according to their social class compared to your social class. So that's the big difference between Hinduism and Buddhism. There's no God in Buddhism either. Like Hinduism has the Brahman and has all those individual gods that are the forms of the Brahman. Buddhism doesn't have that. There's no God. There's just the universe. And you find your place in the universe and you accept your place in the universe and you stop being selfish and greedy. And then your soul can just reunite with the universe through nirvana. There are a lot of Buddhist monks. They give up all of their worldly possessions. You'd expect that because the whole religion is based on not being selfish. So if you're going to be a Buddhist monk, you have to give up everything and you study the writings of the Buddha. Buddhists go on pilgrimages to India and they visit places that were important in the life of the Buddha. And each of these places has a big mound of dirt that is a special landmark for Buddhism. And Buddhists call these stupas. And you walk around them and meditate on selfishness and meditate on the wisdom of the Buddha while you walk around the stupa. The next time we're together, we're going to learn about Chapter 4, Section 4, and that will teach us early Chinese history and how it relates to legalism and Taoism. See ya.